And welcome back to the Assembly Content Cabana. I'm Tyler Goldberg, Director of Political Strategy, and now I'm joined by Kate Clough from Lenovo.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing just great. The weather's nice, the people are nice, good conversations all over. Kate, well, first of all, thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself, your role at Lenovo, and how you got there.
Sure. I am part of the Global Media COE. I lead global media strategy and analytics, and I spent 20 years agency side before I moved to Lenovo. I did it really to get control of my travel schedule because I was doing so much new business agency side. I was never home with my kids. I was scared to go client side because so many friends had done it before me and were bored. So I specifically sought out an opportunity that would offer lots, a wide variety of challenges. And it's been 6 years, and I'm not bored yet.
I can attest to the agency travel scheduling being a little tough.
Now travel's a pleasure. Travel to this is wonderful.
There are worse places to go on work trips.
Yes.
Lenovo is truly a global brand. What are the biggest challenges, but also opportunities that you have being sort of having that reach all over the world?
When I came to Lenovo 6 years ago, we were going through a period of great change. We had just gone through a global RFP process and chosen a global media agency for the first time ever. So we had to consolidate from 72 media agencies being used around the world to just one. And as you can imagine, a lot of the markets, they selected their agency themselves. They might have been with them for decades. We had to pull some of them kicking and screaming away from their agencies.
Sure.
But the benefit is we do a lot of the heavy lifting from the center. We're taking a burden off of them, and then they're able to do the more fun, creative work. We help with data, tech, tools, operations, and then we pass things into the local markets, and they make it their own, and they love it again. So it took quite a while, but I think people are pretty happy with this global-local balance that we have.
And I mean, I know you all have been spending, really intentional about building out internal media capabilities.
Yep.
What is the benefit of doing that while still having a great partnership with an agency?
I am a huge fan of the hybrid model. When I was agency side, there is only so far you can go inside of the organization to get the data, the information, the insights you want to drive your strategy. And it's very hard to understand how to navigate a huge organization like Lenovo. We have more than 75,000 people. Even as an insider, it took me a while to know where to go for brand health tracker data, for customer journeys, customer success stories. For an agency to do that would be incredibly difficult. So we really work as one team. And we put the work where someone is in the closest proximity to what's needed to do that work well.
That really makes a lot of sense. I know, we've gone through different phases in the industry of people bringing a lot of stuff in-house, people going back to agency, and so I can definitely see the benefits of that hybrid model, because who's going to know a brand better than the brand itself? But also, once you have the reach and resources of a global agency, that's got to be mutually beneficial.
I hugely value the agency. I think hybrid is the way to go. When you're working with a global agency, you have access to bandwidth. You have access to new skill sets that they're developing before you've gotten to the point where you would fund those roles in-house. And you guys are on the front lines with the media companies, the data, the technology every day. So you can bring fresh ideas to us. You just have more scale than we do.
It's really interesting. I think it's been a wonderful relationship for both, I could say, from the Assembly side and hopefully from the Lenovo side as well.
Yeah. I think you guys help keep it fresh too. I feel like some of these companies that are in-house only, it can get a little bit stale over time because you're not pulling from a portfolio of clients who are doing interesting things.
That's the first time I've ever been called cool in the Assembly Content Cabana, so I appreciate that.
I'll try to do it again before the end of this
interview.
interview.
You flatter me too much. So I work with our political account, so obviously this next question I think resonates with me. These are fast-moving times, especially with consumer habits, especially with media consumption. How do you stay ahead of those changes while also, maintaining your core focus?
Are you talking about things like tariffs and supply chain?
I'm talking about all over media fragmentation as well. Just it seems like we're in such a rapidly evolving landscape, new technologies. How do you balance that long-term planning with this sort of need to be agile?
Yeah, I think a lot of the long-term planning happens within the worldwide marketing teams. but it only goes so deep, as I said. And then we have the markets. The markets have a lot of freedom to experiment with maybe new technologies, new audiences, new creatives. And I think innovation typically occurs in one place first before it scales globally. And so we can't solely be in charge of things like innovation, experimentation, growth, because it takes a while to get to us.
Right.
I mean, most of our global strategists are based in the UK, the US, but we have people doing things in Japan that are amazing that we don't have here today, but we'll keep an eye on it and see what markets it becomes available in if it works in Japan, so we can help identify those trends much sooner and look for them, or even help to drive that with partners that we have in other markets.
That makes a lot of sense. It gives you the best of both worlds. Like, you're able to almost test out these strategies, and really lean in intentionally to the ones that are working as well as they do.
There are things that I was doing in China 15 years ago that have just started to make their way to the United States and other countries. So you have to see what's going on all around the world if you want to be at the forefront.
So let's talk about our partnership a little more, Assembly and Lenovo.
You guys are so cool.
2, you heard it. Maybe Duncan can put up a graphic that we have a ticker for how
Okay.
many times. Maybe we'll get up to 5. What does a truly valuable agency partnership look like in 2025? I know we've touched on a few of these points already.
I think a focus on common goal and just doing what's needed to get the job done. I feel like when I was agency side, I mean, it was an amazing experience. I spent the bulk of my career there, but we were a little black and white. So if a client gave us a brief that was missing some fields, we didn't start the work. And
Has to go back for a rewrite and then back and forth.
Yes, and you guys have been really flexible with us. I think something that I also love when it happens and want even more of is for you guys to tell us when we're wrong or when there's a better way. I want us to be challenged. I don't want it to be that traditional client.
Right. Client's
Don't be
always
order
right.
takers.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it allows for so much more creativity in the space from both sides to have, to think of it as a partnership as opposed to just client and, vendor.
I hope that it makes work more enjoyable for the people who are on the agency side, because they're not just doing what we have asked, but we want you guys to be one with us.
Right. Well, and that's my theme of the week has been intentionality, and most of it has been intentionality on the consumer front, but there's also intentionality in your media strategy, doing things the right way for the right reasons, and I think that that's something that can sometimes get lost, and I know that's not the case with our relationship.
Yeah, I don't want us to ever buy media that we're not proud of. So it should reach our audience, it should resonate with them, they should feel like the experience was created just for them.
I think it makes everyone more successful. Like, it makes the brands more successful, the agencies more successful, and the consumers have an easier road to getting something that's going to benefit them.
Well, that is the goal. The goal is to meet consumers every time they're at a crossroads and they have a decision to make. And if we're there with something inspiring or helpful, the goal is to keep them on that path toward Lenovo. And I think we have to assume that if we're not there in that moment, our competitors will be.
Absolutely.
So don't take anything for granted.
What advice can you give to global brands? What trends are we seeing?
Yeah. Well, I'll talk about measurement because it's something that I'm passionate about. I think a lot of companies invested very heavily in MTA, then they walked away from it, believing we were going to do a cookieless environment. I think using MTA, brand lift studies to validate or change our KPIs. I think there's so many assumptions about measurement and driving performance that are not correct. And so that's one of our goals this year.
Calling those out is important, right? Like, it's important. If everybody is looking at the same data but looking at it the wrong way, it's not useful data.
That is very true. So when you're in a global role, you have to build frameworks, common data sources, a common language for people in different markets to talk to each other about performance. Otherwise, we're all speaking different languages. We can't communicate, we can't be effective and move on.
I think that is great advice on what trends will define 2025 and 2026.
That's top of my list.
Yeah.
But there's lots of other cool stuff I'm hearing about while I'm here.
Kate Clough from Lenovo, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Tyler. That was really cool.
4.